Hey, so I was reorganizing my space and I realized that my Eurorack obsession habit had gotten out of hand. I started with 94 HP. I had a cheap home-built case that I played with a lot and had a lot of fun with. But ultimately, I've decided to move away from Eurorack, and these are the 5 reasons why. Reason number 1 is the playability. Now, I felt like modular in general doesn't have the same playability and expressiveness as something like playing a piano, playing guitar, just singing. You know, the distance between hearing music in your head and getting it out is further and further. With modular, I found myself relying a lot on, happy accidents. And that's not really the way I like to make music. I just like to be more intentional about it. Reason number 2 is that I think I had an unrealistic goal going into it. My goal was to create a groove box that was similar to the SP404. It's got its own vibe, it's got some grit to it, and it has its own sound. But I didn't want the sound of the 404, I wanted my own sound. So I was like, okay, this is the perfect thing to build my own setup for. And I did that, but ultimately it's not as useful as a real sampler. And that was something that I figured out when I got a Digitakt, which was somewhat recent. When I got my Digitakt, I realized how broken and limited my workflow in modular was. And now that I've had it for a while, I've loaded all my own samples in, and it has my own weird, quirky sound that I really like. It has all the vibe that I could ask for because I made all the samples myself. It also has amazing sequencing and performative tools. So I kind of modified my goal. Like, instead of using it as a groove box, I'll just use this to make really good samples. But ultimately, I have a better option for that, which is plugging in my Matriarch into my MS-20 or vice versa. Just cross-patching those 2 semi-modulars honestly sounds better than anything that I ever made in Eurorack. I think that Eurorack, you have to make a lot of concessions, as whether it be for space, because you just don't have enough HP for some expensive module, or money. But that kind of brings me to my next point, which is Eurorack cases and power solutions are way too expensive. Even if you build your own case, you have to buy your own power solution. And just buying the materials and taking the time to build your own case, I mean, it's a fun project, but for that amount of time, effort, and money, like, I could be making music with some cheapo synth. The last reason is that Eurorack forces me to trade my time for flexibility. You know, it takes time to move something from one case to the next because I have 3 different cases that I use because I want to have something mobile, I want to have something more static, and then I just have another one that's like practically for storage of old modules that just haven't sold on Reverb yet, or I can't quite let go of. And trading time for flexibility just isn't worth it to me. It's too much flexibility. Like, I don't need to bring a case full of 16 envelopes anywhere. Really what I need is something more like a full synth voice. So for me, having 2 semi-modulars that go into each other, I can easily break that in half and bring one to go play with some other people. And it's so fast. I don't have to worry about, did I bring enough patch cables? Did I bring enough long enough patch cables? Did I bring a keyboard? Did I bring a table? Like, I can carry a keyboard in one arm and my keyboard stand in the other, and that's fine. But when I'm using a Eurorack system, I have to have an external keyboard if I'm gonna play it in that way, or at least some sort of external controller. I have to have my case with my modules, which I pick for that specific thing. And then I also have to have a table that is wide enough and big enough to fit a system that isn't like really well connected. You know, it's just connected with cables. It's not like a keyboard where I can just like part of it can hang over the edge of my keyboard stand. But that being said, I am gonna keep certain modules. I have to keep my Eric Synths Fusion mixer. It's the best sounding mixer I've ever used. That includes my Matriarch mixer, which is probably the second best sounding. The Percol is another one. 4 envelopes is just so useful in creating percussion patches. I can't ever get rid of that one. My Spring Reverb module I think is really cool and a great thing to add to just about anything. Morphogene is obviously really special. Rings is another I can't get rid of because it sounds nothing like my analog stuff. The Dupfer Wasp filter, just so much character packed into that thing. I don't want to sell it at all. And I won't sell all my cases because there are always exciting new modules coming out, and I would be surprised if I was just like, no, it's Eurorack, I'm out, I'm not doing it. I still think it's cool. It's just that anything more than a small case is not really worth it for me. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks for watching.